Picture yourself alone late at night, enjoying a novel by the light of a candle. The children have retired several hours before, and you are simply relishing the silence. Then it begins. Quiet at first and far away, but definitely there. A slow, methodical rapping noise. At first, it seems so distant your mind dismisses it as nothing. But it gradually grows in intensity, and its point of origin becomes clear. This sound, as though someone were banging on wood with a hammer, is coming from inside your home. In a house on Elmwood Avenue in Traverse City, Mrs. Fred Vaughn first heard these strange noises on a Friday night in the spring of 1902. Mr. Vaughn had just departed to his brother's farm in Leelanau County to assist in spring planting, and was not expected back until the following Sunday. When the sounds became so intense that Mrs. Vaughn began to fear a burglar, she raced to her children's bedrooms on the second floor of the house. Finding the children still asleep, she returned to a short stairwell which led to an attic door. By now, the sounds were clearly someone or something banging on the door itself. Bravely, Mrs. Vaughn began to climb the stairs. Just before reaching the door, the sounds stopped. By now, Mrs. Vaughn was nearly in a state of panic, but decided to remain in the house. The next day, she called for her husband to return from the fields, and together they checked the attic for signs of an intruder. They found nothing. The following weekend, Mr. Vaughn again left at sunset, and again the sounds began near midnight. And again, just as Mrs. Vaughn began to climb the stairs to the attic, they stopped. In fact, this scene was to be repeated every Friday night for 3 months. Mr. Vaughn also heard the sounds, as did several neighbors and friends who were invited on occasion. The Vaughns often joked about their timid ghost. The man who built the house attributed the sounds to a settling of the relatively new structure. But even he couldn't explain why the sounds stopped each time someone approached the attic door. Then came the fateful night in the autumn of 1902. Mr. Vaughn had again departed to his brother's farm to assist with the fall harvest. Just past 2 a.m., a horse-drawn wagon roared into the driveway of the farm. Inside were a quite hysterical Mrs. Vaughn and her children. It seems the sounds had started as usual around midnight. By now, they were more nuisance than novelty, and Mrs. Vaughn angrily approached the stairs and shouted, "I wish you would just stop this." The sound stopped, and the door opened. Whatever Mrs. Vaughn saw, she could never bring herself to speak of it. But neither she, the children, or Mr. Vaughn ever returned to the house. The house on Elmwood Avenue still stands. Since 1902, no resident has reported anything unusual. The current residents have requested that the address be kept secret. They also say the attic is nailed shut. The Haunting.